Oh, hi guys. Welcome. Is this peaking too much? I probably should have checked the microphone levels before I started recording, but hey, we've got a 20-minute video to come up with enough commentary to come up with. I've got to come up with enough commentary to fill this 20-minute video out. Not redoing this bit either. So why not just take this in one take and put no thought into the actual quality of it. Hello everyone, welcome to this video of Planet Coaster, a Planet Coaster gameplay video of me playing Planet Coaster. My name is Matt, and your name is Dave. Hey, for a split second there, some people who are called Dave who are watching this might have freaked out for a second there. Don't worry, I just picked the first name. Anyway, what are we doing in this video? Well, I'll tell you what we're doing. We are continuing. This is so bad. We are continuing with the Crimson. I forgot the name. I totally just forgot the name of the theme park. Then I'm continuing with the construction of my theme park, Crimson Tower, named for the Crimson Tower that we built in the previous episode. That is currently lacking from the park's landscape at this very moment. As you watch this bit of footage unfold, I essentially. So I'll rewind. The actual focus of this episode is to finish off Main Street, as in, the main street, as in when you walk into the park, you come up the street, so it's like the main street, right? But I kind of built a little bit of Main Street, then I built the giant red tower that serves as the centerpiece and namesake of the park, and then I carried on building the rest of Main Street and finishing it. But I thought kind of from a video order standpoint, it probably made more sense to show off the tower in its own video without it being sort of in the midst of other buildings being made, because I kind of felt it was such a unique and ambitious project that I felt like it really warranted its own video, really. So we built the tower, and now I'm gonna show off the other buildings. So at some point, you may see the red tower appear in the background. That's just provided. I've just basically said all this to provide context for anyone that hasn't seen that particular video. I mean, there is a link on screen at the top right of this video if the YouTube card system has worked as should, which, let's face it, is a total gamble with my technological skills. But hopefully there should be a link to the full playlist you can check out if you want to check it out. I'm not forcing anyone, but I mean, you're here, so already your standards for quality are clearly very low. So you may enjoy that video as well. But what are we building here? I still haven't actually said what we're doing. This is the toilet block. I mean, I feel like you guys probably could have figured it out just from watching the footage, but just in case you haven't, this is the toilet block. Gone for a sort of green brick colour. I went with green because I kind of wanted all the buildings in this street to have a different colour. And green, not many people use the green bricks, which is understandable. It's a horrible colour, but I think if you put enough time into it and add enough sort of wall pieces to it to kind of, I guess, nothing else other than disguise it and dress it. You got to dress it up loads. Well, long story short, I thought it ended up looking quite nice. So I hope you agree with that sentiment. I mean, you're all entitled to your own opinions, but as long as it's my opinion. But there we go. So yes, welcome to another episode of Planet Coaster in which we don't build any rides. My God, this is the fourth episode in the series, and so far we've built one roller coaster and lots of buildings. But, I kind of, we have to get the formalities out of the way, right? I don't like opening theme parks until we've at least got the main street sorted and one or two rides open. So I kind of like in my head, I know it doesn't matter because it's a sandbox game for all intents and purposes. I mean, does anyone actually play career mode? I certainly don't. But I kind of like adopting the early access business model in my head, in that we open the theme park before it's fully completed at a discounted price. And then as sort of the rides are installed and buildings are built and yada, 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 we can raise the price to, full price. And, guests may encounter, bugs and crashes, literal ones, but, they shouldn't care. But if they do have a crash or involved in a crash or something else, they can come to this building here, because not only is it a toilet block on the lower floor, but the upper floor we've got like a doctor as well. It's just lots of first aid buildings. And I think it's more about they have to be, I don't know, I think in Roller Coaster Tycoon, the first aid centres, I never really figured it out, but I think they had to be at the exit of all the scary rides, because it's after you want to vom for going on a big roller coaster, you run to a first aid centre, whereas I just always used to bunch them together and made like a sort of doctor's surgery in the park, which I guess is probably not good. But from a thematic standpoint and a realism standpoint, like, yeah, there will be a park doctor. Like at water parks, for example, there's a park doctor. I know this because my sister broke her collarbone at the water park, and she had to go to the on-site doctor, who referred her to a hospital for an X-ray and treatment and all that good, shabba-danga, shangalang, shabba-dabba-ding-dong. Anyway, there's that building moving swiftly away from that horrendous, whatever that was. I don't really know what I'm saying half the time. What is my life? What am I doing with my life? Well, I can answer that question to a certain extent. What I was doing with my life at this very moment in time, not like this moment as I speak, but this moment as I'm building, which for me was in the past, but for you, I guess, there's no real distinction. Well, like I said, we got to drag this commentary out for 20 minutes, so it's gonna be a real. So this building here is a food court. This time I decided to go with a nice blue and white, and spoiler alert, cover your ears if you don't want to hear what the final colour will be. Thank you. Is orange. You can uncover your ears now. Although that doesn't make much sense, because if you had your ears covered, then you wouldn't have heard me say you can uncover your ears now. But regardless, we are building the windows. I just looked at the screen. I panicked. I said, I just need to say what we're saying. We are building the windows, which I guess is not wrong. But I feel like you don't really need me to literally dictate what exactly is happening on screen, because you're looking at the screen, right? It's not like you would just listen to the audio of this, because why on earth would you put yourself through something like that? But I'm assuming you're watching this with the video. So, place those windows there. I thought I'd put some different windows there, because why not? And I thought just for the roof, we'd go for the spooky pack roof. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. I haven't shown it yet. And apparently never will. I haven't gone for a spooky pack roof. When I said spooky pack roof, I meant like the colonial kind of square-ish roofs. I'm pretty sure I used that for some aspect of this building. Oh, I used it for the clock tower bit. Oh, God, I spoiled the fact there's a clock tower. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry. I know you'll never be able to rewind time and unhear that, but yes, I suppose there's no point hiding it now. There you are. There was indeed a clock tower. Or at least this tower has a clock on it, which I guess, looking back now, is the definition of a clock tower. I know there's going to be some guy in the comments saying, actually, a clock tower has to be X, Y, Z. No, shut up. No one likes you, Dave. Sorry. I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't mean that. I'm just, I'm not funny, am I? Anyway, this series, I feel like, is quite, I don't know if you could tell this, guys, but I'm not very good at just continually talking about what's going on the screen with Planet Coaster, because I feel like it is just me building a building very fast. I guess I could talk about the specifics of what's going on right now, actually, because I like to give my buildings some functionality. I've noticed a lot of Planet Coaster YouTubers, et al., often will kind of they'll build an amazing building from start to finish and inside and out, and it's amazing. But a lot of them don't. A lot of them will kind of build an amazing exterior and then don't put any interior in any interior in whatsoever, and just kind of say, this is the restaurant, but it's got no actual functionality other than just looking like a restaurant from an aesthetic point of view, which, is fine. You've seen that giant red tower I have in this park, which serves a purely aesthetic function as well. But I kind of wanted this to actually serve a function. I personally am never going to look inside this building, because usually with parks, when I'm done building them, I just abandon them and never visit them again. Like Mirror Lake, I haven't visited since filming the final cinematic, because I just like the building. So as long as it looks okay from the outside, I literally don't care about the inside. But I do like the fact it has functionality, like guests will genuinely go in here to get food. And then I'll just use my imagination and pretend that they're sitting down, using the facilities. There's like a buffet here, just having a generally grand old time. But none of that matters for me, as long as it's functional and they can actually buy food, and I won't get nagged by the game. There's not enough food stalls. I'm happy. So all of that aside, there's a beautiful shot of the foot of the tower, by the way. A lot of people pointed out on the Planet Coaster subreddit, and I tend to agree with them, that the base leaves a lot to be desired. The kind of weird shoes, I guess, look a bit simplistic, but I'm just too apathetic to change it at this point. I think it looks good enough, and I don't really look too hard at the legs. And I guess the base of the Eiffel Tower is pretty similar. It's not quite as blocky and simplistic as mine, but really, I never really noticed it was pointed out, because I feel like the eye is naturally drawn to the tower itself, rather than the feet, regardless. And they've said that about the top as well, and I do kind of see where they're coming from about the top, but I kind of wanted the top to remain as simple as possible. I don't know if you guys know this about in Dubai. There's that big 7-star hotel. What's it called? I'm too lazy to stop the commentary in these videos. You know, you guys knew what you're getting into in terms of quality level, so I ain't going to check. But it's like the big Sail Hotel. It's a really famous hotel on the coastline of Dubai. Anyway, that was originally going to be quite plain on the inside. Like, you go into the big atrium. So, rewind. In that hotel, you kind of go into the atrium. If you ever played Modern Warfare 3, the final mission where you dress up as a Juggernaut, as Captain Price, it's in that hotel. So you kind of go in and you look up and it's a really tall, hollow building on the inside. And originally that was going to be quite plain because the architecture was going to speak for itself. That's kind of the thing I was going to go with the Red Tower. Like, it's quite plain, quite simplistic, because I want the viewer and the guest to be not amazed, that's the wrong word I need, but you know, kind of like appreciative and kind of acknowledging the actual architecture of the structure itself, not be too drawn by the actual crow's nest itself, which is why I went for a simplistic design. The Dubai hotel wasn't the best example because the owners of the hotel said, no, that's a dumb idea. We want it to be lavish and gold and filled with velvet. So that's now what you go into that hotel and there's like aquariums up the escalators and gold curtains. So it's a bad example. But I remember hearing the architect's philosophy and thought, yeah, I can get on board with that sentiment. Speaking of getting on board, we're building a train station, like boarding a train. So, hey, the second ride of the park right here. 4 episodes, two rides. So that's half a ride per episode on average. So it's going well. I don't really know what I used as the muse here. I guess just European train station. I guess American train stations as well probably have the same sort of philosophy, like a glass kind of curved roof. Although with the monorail itself was in the track, I kind of made the same mistake. I need to stop doing this. I made the same mistake I did with Mirror Lake in that I kind of built the track out and then I thought I'll build the track and sort of to mark out the actual layout I want for the park, and then I'll build the park around the track. But then I very quickly realized the track is dumb and it's a stupid layout, and I just build the park as I see fit and then have to sort of retroactively change the entire monorail layout, and it ends up not being what I wanted. Like I kind of wanted it to serve as sort of a way of getting around the corners of the park, but the way the park's worked out, at least thus far, and the park is nearly completed at this point in like my life, like as I speak right now, because obviously I'm not talking about the recording of the thing, right? You guys get that? I don't really think about what I say sometimes, and like I guess that probably shows to some of you, to a lot of you, most of you, all of you. What was I even talking about? Oh yes. No, what was I? I've had a complete mind blank now. Should I rewind the tape? No, we'll do it live. I know I was talking something about the layout of the monorail, but yes, in the end, the way the park ended up being, it was just like it's the monorail isn't needed unless you're like 70 and you can barely walk. But then this probably is not the venue for you, this theme park here. So I don't know. I mean, the main function for the monorail was I wanted to build a hotel for this theme park. This, again, is a purely aesthetic building. Like, it serves no function. There's no interior. Guests will never use the hotel. But just from a sort of thematic and, you know, aesthetic, and I guess just there's no real reason behind it. But I just kind of wanted a theme park hotel. Like, you know, a lot of theme parks like Disneyland, Universal Studios, do they have a hotel? Alton Towers has a hotel. Drayton Manor has a hotel. A lot of them have hotels. So I thought I'd have a hotel as well. And I thought the monorail could serve as a means of transporting guests from the hotel to the main street. So yeah, I guess it kind of serves a sort of symbolic function. Well, it will serve a symbolic function in that regard. And hey, maybe I haven't actually decided what I'm going to do at this very moment, because the park is not done. The monorail is not done either. Generally, I kind of build the station and everything like that at the entrance, but I don't open the monorail till either the park is complete or the layout is now complete and big enough to warrant having some sort of public transportation solution. But as of right now, there's no real park for guests to walk around. So this is purely here as fodder, I suppose. But it's much easier than having to go back in later and trying to find a place to squeeze the monorail station, when really, since it is the transport hub, it ought to have a sizable plot of land in the middle of all the buildings. So may as well build it out now, open it up later. That was the philosophy there. So I kind of went with sort of a blackish, more of an industrial sort of look to it, but also kind of a nice traditional style in the same vein. So I hope you guys like the way it came out. I actually was quite proud of the way this station turned out. I probably could do with, I probably should go back and do some more platform detailing, because really at the moment it is just a hollow exterior with a basic platform but no benches or TV screens or anything like that. But I probably won't, because like I say, I once a building is done, I tend to just observe it as a thing from the outside and use my imagination as to imagine what it's like on the inside. So if you guys wanted to download this park from the Steam Workshop once this series is complete in 70 years probably, at the rate I'm uploading, then you guys I'm happy for you guys to, you have my consent, you have my blessing to make any changes that you see fit, because there's no reason, there's no because, that's just it. I'm sorry. Okay, there's the monorail. Good. I'm glad we did the thing. So only one more building to go in this episode, and then next episode I'm sure you'll be glad to hear that we'll finally be building some more buildings. We're not building we are going to build one ride, to be fair, but the Twisted Fury roller coaster, the big hybrid wood and steel coaster, I wanted to put some Western theming around it. So I guess it's kind of a more interesting build than kind of... Well, I mean, me personally, I do prefer building the more generic, non-themed style buildings. I don't know why. I guess because my favourite theme parks are like Six Flags and Alton Towers, and both of those, whilst they have scenery to an extent, it's nowhere near the same as sort of Disney levels. It's mainly just generic-y sort of buildings, with the real focus being the rides, whereas I'd say Disney has good rides, but the focus really is the scenery. And the same for Universal Studios as well. Not so much places like Islands of Adventure, even though that's not really technically Universal Studios, because the Universal Studios there is called Universal Studios. I'm getting off topic again. Me personally, I always preferred the theme parks with just the rides were the focus rather than the scenery. And I don't know, I've been enjoying, like, I enjoy a lot of, like, I know a lot of Planet Coaster series makers on YouTube. They're very good at making fantastical buildings and all these incredible things, like look at Silver Rat and Ulithris, the guy that made the Elite Dangerous Park. I can never remember his name, and obviously Ruble Trillions with his Paris Park, and there's lots and lots and lots of others that I can't possibly think of all the names of now. But I've been enjoying a lot of Planet Bro Coaster, or just Bro Coaster. I don't know I can't even remember what the series is called now, but I'm watching them a lot recently. I can't remember where I found them now, but I think I saw them mentioned on the subreddit quite a bit. And they kind of go for a more realistic theme as well. Like, don't get me wrong. They do some theming, but it's much more grounded in reality. There's no flying islands and things like that. So I've been enjoying that scenery a lot, and I think that kind of style is what I prefer to emulate. And like I say, I'd rather have like a sort of Alton Towersy sort of place, a Six Flags sort of place where the scenery really takes a back seat to the rides themselves. Because my favourite thing to do in this game, first and foremost, is to design roller coasters. Believe it or not, being Planet Coaster. So yeah, again, we're kind of taking a similar principle with this building here, and we're kind of building a nice building on the outside, or at least it will be by the time it's finished, with just bare bones functionality on the inside. Like literally, it has the function because it has shops and things, but other than that, there's no real flair and finesse to the interior. Because, like I said, I don't really find it all that fun to design building interiors, because I'm never going to look at it once it's done, because it's going to be inside a building, and it's not like the guests, their AI, maybe their AI can, but I don't think their AI can really distinguish whether or not something has, looks like a real shop on the inside, so I don't really care. But yeah, I like the way this building came out. This one is obviously red, believe it or not. I know you guys, in case your eyes deceive you, in case you have a bit of colour blindness there. If you want to see a video on colour blindness, then check out my video on colour blindness, response to Logan Paul H3HC. This was a weird tangent and a weird plug for a fairly underviewed video, but hey, I just remembered I did that, so why not plug it? Still got to fill out a few more minutes of this commentary. Wow, this time has flown by really, hasn't it? It probably hasn't for you. You've probably hated every second of this, but hey, don't worry. The sweet release of the end screen is coming soon, don't worry. But yeah, fairly traditional sort of building. I don't really know what the muse of it was. I guess I've just have this sort of mental bank of different buildings that I've just sort of, this has been the result of that. I wasn't really using much of a muse for any of these things really. I just kind of built it out of my own imagination. Believe it or not. But I hope you guys think it came out okay. I certainly was quite happy with the general aesthetics of not just this building, but every building we built in this, well, I guess in this park. I was going to say this street, but I guess this park. I feel like retrospectively, there are probably a few things I could do to fine-tune it, like the actual front of the cinema where the red screen is, the red like signpost is. Behind the red signpost, I could probably do with a little bit of flair adding to that wall, because it is a little bit plain, but I don't know yet. I probably won't do it, because I think it looks fine as it is. And I don't want it to, I'm always afraid of making buildings look overbuilt, if that makes sense. So I sometimes see Planet Coaster constructions where you've literally just used every senior piece in the game and then it just looks overbuilt. But other than that, that pretty much wraps this episode up, to be honest. All we need to do now is just add a little bit of a centerpiece for the main street, or at least some scenery to break up that really wide path. So I went with some potted plants, or potted trees. So I just placed some trees and then used like a shrub sunk into the ground to serve as a sort of grass for them and make sort of a nice soil plot. And then have them lit up with some traditional lampposts. And then once we built one, we do the old clone it across and duplicate it up. And there we go. That's the main street done. Kind of. I tell a lie. Next episode, we're just going to build like a sort of a backstage area for either side, but that's going to be literally all of like 5 minutes. So I think for all intents and purposes, this episode is all done, and this main street is done as well. That should have been the other way around. For all intents and purposes, this main street is done, and so is this episode. And with that, on screen are some links. There's a link to the full playlist, as well as the previous episode as well, in case you want to see the construction of that red tower that you've been getting some fleeting glimpses of the base of, but you can see it in its full constructed entirety. Oh, no, there we go. You kind of saw it just then in the next episode. But other than that, Twitter, Patreon, Discord are all in the description. And like I say, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.